Welcome to Topic 5 of Breakthrough Actions video series on SBC programming at the nexus of child, early, forced marriage and unions, or CEFMU, and climate change. This topic looks at promoting meaningful participation of children and youth in climate adaptation and CEFMU prevention and response. Climate change and sustainable development education aimed at enhancing the adaptive capacity and resilience of children and youth can serve as a gateway to building resilience within families. Schools play a crucial role in this process, not only by providing education on child protection, climate, and environmental stewardship, but also by fostering connections across the community. This includes collaboration with local and district government structures focused on environmental protection, disaster risk reduction, and child protection. This video will focus on improving the self-efficacy and skills of children and youth to meaningfully participate in climate adaptation efforts and to denounce CEFMU within their homes and their communities. Let's dive into this topic. In the following video, we will explore the importance of meaningfully engaging children and youth in CEFMU prevention and response and climate action and the resources to engage children and youth in climate education, disaster risk reduction, and CEFMU prevention and response. A 2021 UNESCO analysis of 100 national curriculum frameworks revealed that nearly half do not mention climate change. It also revealed that only 1/3 of teachers felt able to properly explain the effects of climate change in their regions, and 70% of youth surveyed could not describe the broad principles of climate change due to the ineffective way in which it is currently taught. This underscores the need to improve and intensify climate adaptation initiatives with children and youth. A new report entitled Learning to Act for People and Planet, published by UNESCO's Global Education Monitoring Report and the Monitoring and Evaluation Climate Communication and Education, argues that climate change education should not be limited to merely transferring knowledge. It must also emphasize social, emotional, and action-orientated learning, especially for children and youth. This approach involves engaging children and youth in hands-on activities and real-world experiences that foster a deeper understanding and emotional connection to the issue. By participating in projects, simulations, and community initiatives, young people can witness the impacts of climate change firsthand and feel empowered to take meaningful action. Let's take a minute to reflect on some tips to ensure that children and youth can meaningfully engage in climate action and CEFMU prevention and response. USAID's Youth Power offers 6 tips for increasing meaningful youth engagement in programs. First, it is essential to define what meaningful youth engagement looks like for your program. This involves creating inclusive, intentional, and mutually respectful partnership between youth and adults, where power is shared and young people's contributions are valued. Second, plan for both short and long-term engagement opportunities. This means designing clear pathways for youth to participate and ensuring these pathways are adaptable over time. Third, provide training and support to equip youth with the necessary skills and knowledge. Fourth, foster a safe and respectful environment where youth feel valued and discrimination is promptly addressed. Fifth, encourage collaboration between youth and adults to build trust and mutual respect. Lastly, regularly evaluate and reflect on the effectiveness of your engagement strategies, gathering feedback from youth and making necessary adjustments. Now that we've reflected on some tips to ensure meaningful youth engagement, let's delve into exploring entry points for education and action on climate change and child marriage prevention and response. Schools provide a structured and supportive environment where students can engage in meaningful discussions, participate in impactful projects, and develop essential skills to advocate for change. Through schools, we can reach children and youth at a formative age, shaping their understanding and attitudes early on. School curriculums serve as an excellent entry point for education on climate change and child marriage prevention. They ensure that children and youth are exposed to these important issues during their developmental years, fostering a deep understanding and commitment to addressing them. This early exposure is crucial as it shapes their perspectives and prepares them to be proactive and informed citizens. Moreover, education on these issues can empower young people to make informed decisions, influence their communities, and contribute to broader societal shifts towards sustainability and gender equality. When students learn about climate change and child marriage prevention, they gain the knowledge and tools needed to advocate for themselves and others, driving positive change within their communities. Integrating these topics into the curriculum ensures that all students receive consistent and accurate information, fostering awareness and critical thinking. This approach not only educates but also inspires students to take action, whether through community project, advocacy, or personal lifestyle changes. By addressing climate change and child marriage prevention within this context, we can ensure that young people are well educated to contribute to a more sustainable and equitable future. Now let's explore some resources that SBC programmers can use to incorporate climate adaptation and CEFMU prevention and response into education and empowerment activities for children and youth. The first resource we'll explore is the UNESCO Greening Curriculum Guidance, which responds to the calls from young people for a holistic approach to climate change and sustainability in the curriculum. This guidance aims to integrate climate change and sustainability education into the school curriculum comprehensively, with the goal of having 90% of all countries include climate change in their curricula by 2030. It provides a framework that outlines a common language and approach for educators to follow, ensuring that quality climate change and sustainability education is consistently reflected in the curriculum. By setting expected learning outcomes for different age groups, from 5-year-olds to those 18 years and older, the guidance ensures that students receive age-appropriate and relevant information throughout their educational journey. Moreover, the UNESCO Greening Curriculum Guidance adopts a lifelong learning approach, recognizing that education on climate change and sustainability should not be confined to the early years of schooling. It emphasizes the importance of continuous learning and adaptation, encouraging individuals to remain informed and engaged with these critical issues throughout their lives. This approach not only equips young people with the knowledge and skills needed to address climate change and sustainability challenges, but also fosters a culture of ongoing learning and proactive engagement. The second resource that we're highlighting is UNESCO's new Green School Quality Standard. Developed in collaboration with other UN agencies, civil society, and various countries, this standard sets the minimum requirement for creating a green school by promoting an action-orientated approach. It emphasizes the importance of establishing green governance committees that include students, teachers, and parents to oversee sustainable management practices. Additionally, it advocates for comprehensive teacher training and the implementation of audits for energy, water, food, and waste. These measures aim to foster a culture of sustainability within schools and ensure that environmental considerations are integrated into everyday operations. The goal is to have 50% of schools in all countries reach the standard by 2030. The third resource we'd like to highlight is PLAN's Youth Leadership in Climate Policy Workbook, which provides targeted content and activities that help learners aged 14 and above turn their knowledge and skills into action for climate empowerment. The tools aim to support young people in accessing climate decision-making spaces and groups, and to think critically about their own country's mitigation and adaptation priorities through a rights-based lens. The concepts of climate justice, equity, and fairness are integrated throughout the content and activities in the workbook. Each activity asks learners to closely consider the barriers to participation and inclusion that vulnerable and historically marginalized groups may experience in climate policy processes. The fourth resource that we'll highlight is Save the Children's Choices, Voices, Promises approach. This program consists of evidence-based, gender transformative, and participatory activities designed to help very young adolescents aged 10 to 14 years, their parents and communities challenge harmful views of masculinity and femininity and adopt gender equitable attitudes and behaviors while they are still young. The program aims to tackle discriminatory gender norms across 3 levels that drive CEFMU. At the individual level with girls and boys, at the interpersonal level within households, and at the community level. The program works across these levels to ensure girls and boys feel empowered to challenge gender inequality and discrimination, and that family and community members support change. The choices element of the program consists of a series of participatory activities to encourage girls and boys to reflect on gender inequality, power dynamics, and their aspirations in life. The Voices component works with parents to facilitate dialogue about gender equality in the household, tapping into the emotional drivers of behavior through video testimonials. The Promises component works with influential people in the community to catalyze dialogue about the impact of early marriage and violence on girls' opportunities to access education. This component includes the establishment of 6 large posters in the community to spark discussion around gender norms in a proactive way. As a new poster is unveiled each week, a small group of influential community members participate in a facilitated discussion of these norms and then discuss with their wider social networks. Evaluations of the Choices, Voices, Promises program have revealed successes, including girls being empowered to talk to their parents about staying in school and delaying marriage, brothers advocating to their parents about challenges they and their sisters face, and fathers and mothers recognizing their daughters' ability to contribute to the community and the dangers of CEFMU. The final approach we'll highlight is Positive Youth Development, or PYD clubs. PYD clubs can be powerful tools in preventing child marriage and improving capacity for climate adaptation by fostering environments where young people, especially girls, are educated, empowered, and supported to take action in their communities. PYD clubs can be incorporated into the approaches already covered in this video. PYD programs work with youth to improve their agency, assets, contribution, and enabling environment. Let's take a look at each of these 4 domains. Assets. For this domain, we ensure that youth have the necessary resources, skills, and competencies to achieve desired outcomes. Agency. For this domain, we ensure that youth perceive and have the ability to employ their assets and aspirations to make or influence their own decisions about their lives and set their own goals, as well as to act upon those decisions in order to achieve desired outcomes. Enabling environment. For this domain, we ensure that youth are surrounded by an environment that develops and supports their assets, agency, access to services, and opportunities. This environment also strengthens their ability to avoid risks and stay safe, secure, and protected, as well as live without fear of violence or retribution. An enabling environment encourages and recognizes youth while promoting their social and emotional competence to thrive. The term environment should be interpreted broadly and include social, normative, structural, and physical spaces. Contribution. Lastly, for this domain, we ensure that youth are encouraged, recognized, and able to be involved in and lead through various channels as a source of change for their own and their community's positive development. Programs that utilize a PYD approach have increasingly demonstrated that building the intellectual, physical, social, and emotional competence of youth is a more effective development strategy than one that focuses solely on correcting problems. PYD clubs provide safe spaces for children and youth to learn about their rights, gain life skills, and strengthen their self-efficacy. Through educational workshops, peer mentoring, and community interventions, they can be used to generate social support for change, raise awareness about the climate change CEFMU nexus, improve livelihoods, and promote the benefits of education and delaying marriage. A systematic review of positive youth development clubs in low and middle income countries entitled Findings on Sexual and Reproductive Health and HIV revealed interesting insights related to gender equality, livelihoods, and mental health and solidarity outcomes. Regarding gender equality, results included a reduction in child marriage, girls with higher school status, more participants with positive attitudes towards gender equality, and increasingly positive attitudes towards marriage for love. Regarding livelihoods and economic strengthening, results included youth with more experience working for pay or generating their own businesses, and more youth with the ability to generate income and assets, and a reduction in food insecurity. Regarding mental health and solidarity, results included better mental health outcomes and higher sense of solidarity and trust. By engaging community and religious leaders and parents, these clubs can help shift harmful social and gender norms and reduce economic pressures that lead to CEFMU. These clubs may also be used to educate members about climate change and sustainable practices, encouraging climate action. This holistic approach can empower children and youth, strengthen social capital, and foster leadership, enabling youth to engage in meaningful climate action and CEFMU prevention. Here are some other ideas for child and youth-led activities that could be implemented through PYD clubs. Youth-led theatre for development with an emphasis on youth-led climate action and CEFMU prevention and response. Youth-led broadcast theatre paired with community mobilization and action planning to generate social support for change and encourage community collective action around climate adaptation and CEFMU prevention and response. Youth-led school emergency action planning, in which youth meaningfully participate in school risk assessments and in the planning and preparation of school safety plans. They oversee the implementation with the support of school management committees or parent-teacher associations. Inclusion of children and youth in community disaster response structures. This would also include the provision of training for children and youth to support disaster risk reduction, and could include risk mapping, child and youth-friendly early warning messages, first aid, and physical readiness. Child and youth-friendly community forums where children and youth identify issues of concern related to CEFMU and climate adaptation and raise these concerns to community and religious leaders for action. In conclusion, With the number of girls at extreme risk of facing the dual threats of climate change and child marriage projected to reach nearly 40 million by 2050, it is imperative that children and youth are equipped with the necessary knowledge, skills, and confidence, and have adequate social and emotional support from their parents, family members, and the broader community to act. A child-focused, climate-resilient development approach can be an entry point to creating effective ways to protect children from violence in the context of climate change. Climate change education cannot rely solely on knowledge transfer, but needs to focus on social-emotional, action-oriented learning, which can bring first-hand experiences and are more likely to lead to change. This preparation will enable them to lead climate action and CEFMU prevention and response initiatives, influence policies, and implement effective school and community-based solutions. Prioritizing gender transformative interventions during early adolescence, a crucial period for developing positive attitudes and behaviors, can establish a lifelong foundation for gender equitable attitudes. By empowering young people in this way, we can better address the impacts of climate change and protect children from CEFMU and other SGBVs, fostering a safer and more resilient future for all. Thank you for watching this topic on promoting the meaningful participation of children and youth in climate adaptation and CEFMU prevention. This concludes the final topic of our video series. The resources listed on the slide are provided in the description below this video. Your continued engagement with these resources will support your efforts in creating lasting positive change.